one, two, three.
Ooh, okay friends, part 2. Let's talk about Live at Joe's Pub, shall we? Let me start the video by again saying welcome, 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 all you new folks who have just discovered us. Welcome to your #1 Resistance Swing YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining our little corner of the internet. So I wanted to do part 2 of who the hell is this random swing band that suddenly popped up on my algorithm? Good question. Well, we are Lizzy and the Triggermen. Let me tell you a little bit about the thing is we do. I did a whole video on our first album, and now I'm gonna tell you about our second album. Yes, that's correct. We have been a band for 10 years and we only have 2 albums out. And that's because, first of all, we do things old school style where we actually record in a recording studio and there's 10 of us and we all record together, and it is expensive to do an album like that. It's worth it, but it is expensive, so we cannot do that very often. And also, I'm a big believer in not just putting out content, which I know is exactly what I'm doing right now, which is putting out content, but I'm talking about I don't want to release an album unless I feel like it has something really special to say. Let me tell you about our second album, our sophomore album, Live at Joe's Pub. Okay, so ever since I created the band, we're a live band. That's where we excel. I kind of hate doing studio albums, even though we're in the process of doing our next studio album and I'm really excited about it, like really excited about it. But studio albums are a different thing. They're kind of like the platonic ideal of a song, which really brings out my perfectionistic streak, which is really kind of torturous. Whereas live, I'm really able to just let that go and just be in the moment and perform, and that's just so much more fun for me. And probably in a lot of ways leads to better performances. Anyway, I've always felt like the band really excelled live. And for a while, that's all we were. We didn't have any music out for years, and we were just this word of mouth band where people would tell each other like, oh, you gotta check out this band. To us being able to headline like these bigger and bigger venues until suddenly we're headlining the Troubadour, which is a 500 cap venue, very legendary venue in Los Angeles, which we then sold out with no music out. We headlined the Wiltern, which is crazy. We had no business headlining the Wiltern, but the junior booker at the Wiltern was a fan of ours and she gave us this random Sunday in the summer, and we brought out like 700 people on a Sunday. And again, this was all word of mouth about our live shows and just the buzz around the band before we had any music out. And I kind of miss those days because like, I fucking hate Spotify. I really do. I hate it. I hate it. It's great that people have music so at their disposal, but how they pay artists, I mean, don't get me wrong, those fractions of pennies really add up. But it's kind of like a necessary evil, unfortunately. But I always wanted to release a live album, and we tried various times to record a live album to comically disastrous results. Not because the band didn't sound good. There was always just some catastrophic error with the sound, terrible feedback on the guitar mic or something. And you know, once that starts, there's just nothing you can do. One time we recorded the entire set break by accident and filled up all of the memory, so the entire second set wasn't recorded. Things like that. So at a certain point I was just like, well, I think that we sound best live, but I suppose it's gonna be sort of like Bigfoot and we just never really get to capture the band that way. Or so I thought. Then we lined up a show as part of our East Coast tour, our East Coast debut, at a very legendary venue called Joe's Pub in New York City, which I'm sure many of you know. And it was the beginning of our tour on the East Coast. It was our New York City debut, and half of the band flew in from Los Angeles and half of the band was based in New York. So everybody met at soundcheck, and we didn't have a rehearsal or anything like that. We were able to run some stuff at soundcheck, but I mean, you know, it certainly wasn't like ideal circumstances to be making a record since we'd never played with each other before.
We're gonna kill it tonight.
And I knew all the personnel was like the best of the best. They were all incredible musicians, but still, you know, chemistry is a really big X factor, and our charts are hard. And so when people are playing them for the first time, you just never know what kind of mistakes are going to be. And the thing with a live album is it only takes one mistake to ruin the whole track, you know? So I was not thinking, we're making a record, folks. I was just thinking, please don't have this be a disaster for our New York City debut. But I did ask the venue to record and film the shows because I was like, oh, this is such a famous venue. It'd be great to make some content, some YouTube content. See what a hypocrite I am? So that's all I was thinking it was gonna be. It was like, you know, a couple YouTube videos. So I don't need to say to the band, hey, I'm gonna be recording the show for something like that. So then we do the shows and, you know, they go really well, but tour is such a blur. You're having to get up so early and then drive to the next place, or drive to the next place after the show and go to bed really late and then get up and sound check and rinse and repeat. And so the shows all kind of like blend together, and unless something really terrible happens in a show, you're just not really that aware of how anyone's show goes. When I got back to LA, I just started to listen to some of the recordings, and very quickly I was like, whoa, this sounds really good. And then I listened to another track, this sounds really good. But it's funny because it's like I'm listening to it for the first time. It's almost like I made this album, you know, we all made this album in our sleep. None of us remembered what it was. You know, something happens when you start to realize that something's really good. It's almost makes you really nervous, because then you're like, oh my God, this track is so good. I hope somebody doesn't fuck it up at the end of the track, you know? And I remember thinking that about La Vie en Rose, because that was the first song I listened to. John Allred does one of the most beautiful trombone solos on that track that I've ever heard. And if, you know, John Allred, many consider him to be one of the best living trombone players, if not the best. I mean, he is a legendary player, so it's no shocker that he laid down something beautiful. But I remember listening to that track and just thinking, oh my God, his solo is so beautiful. I hope to God I don't mess up anywhere in the song and ruin this track, or anybody else for that matter. But I was, you know, hardest on myself. And that song ends with me going to this high note. You really have to absolutely nail the note, or else it's pretty obvious. And I remember just thinking, oh God, please, 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 please say that I nailed that final note. And then I get to it and it's like,
et dès que je l'aperçois, alors je sens en moi mon cœur
nailed it. Oh, phew. The track is amazing and I didn't mess it up. Once I realized, oh my God, I think we actually have an album here, I had kind of awkward problem. None of the band even knew that they were being recorded. So it's not like I could just release this sort of surprise gotcha album. I had to make sure everybody was like cool with it. So I had to go one by one. And I remember some friends of mine telling me about nightmare stories of similar things happening where everybody was on board except for one person was like, no, I don't want you to release it. And then their whole album had to be shelved. And I was thinking, oh my God, I pray that doesn't happen. And thankfully, everyone was really cool with it. I also compensated people more for it being an album because I'd only originally paid them for being in shows. So that's how the album came about. And I think in a lot of ways, that's kind of the best way to do a live album, because here's the thing about live albums. They are capturing lightning in a bottle. You really need all of these different elements to align in order for a live album to be great. Obviously, you need the band to be great. Not just technically great, but just like on fire. And I think because people didn't know that they were being recorded, they were kind of looser, but also because they're such insane musicians, they were playing really tight too. That's like what you dream of in a recording. But also the chemistry was there. You had these two factions, East Coast meets West Coast, and that could have easily been an ego competition, but that's not what happened. You can just hear how they're all trying to impress each other, but in like a sweet, nice way, really playing off each other's solos. And it's just so delicious. Like that's just the stuff that you just dream of as a band leader when you put people together. It's like a matchmaker or something, you know, you just hope that the chemistry's there and they fall in love with each other, and they did that night. And you just hear that they're having fun, and that, like, at the end of the day is so important. Another thing that has to go right in a live album is you need the audience to be awesome. The band can be really amazing, but if the audience is just sort of like really uptight and kind of quiet, that kind of kills the vibe. We had an amazing audience that night. I mean, New York City, come on, of course. Then you also have to have an amazing sound person. And let me tell you, that is a really not to be overlooked component, because sound has always been the thing that killed all of our other attempts at live albums. And the guy who runs sound at Joe's Pub is an utter genius with his room, John Schreiber. So shout out to John. All those things have to happen, and they have to happen perfectly in one moment in time. You know, if any one thing goes wrong, it destroys an entire track. It's kind of a miracle that live albums even happen. Let me go through the track listing. So we have a bajillion tracks on this album. It's only 6 tracks on our previous album, but we have 23 tracks. Now, I wanted to edit this album so it felt like being at a Lizzy and the Triggermen show. So it's actually edited continuously. So you can listen and you won't even notice any track markers. It just sounds like you're just front row at one of our shows. Let me talk to you about my highlights of this album. So it starts with When I Get Low, I Get High. We love starting shows with that. It's a great Chick Webb, Ella Fitzgerald tune. It's young Ella. And our version is very inspired by their version, but it's our own take on it. It's a great, fun song about getting high. What else could you want? It's funny, we actually did that on a morning show one time, and I was like, we had to submit our lyrics for our songs, and I couldn't believe they let that one through. But it's funny, like, it's like as soon as you put something in swing music, it's like people are like, oh, it can't be about drugs. It's like, okay, sure. Oh, we got some really good Broadway tunes. So one thing you guys need to know about me, I mean, you know I love to do a great anti-Hitler song, and I do. But I also love me some musical theater. We do a couple really swinging renditions of some Broadway tunes, like A Lot of Living to Do from Bye Bye Birdie.
There are guys just right for some kissing, and I mean to kiss me a few. All those guys don't know what they're missing. There's such a lot of living to do.
Everything's Coming Up. Roses from Gypsy, which I actually was Baby June in my community theater's production of Gypsy.
Now's our evening, send the world on a team, setting, spinning, that'll be just a beginning. Getting up, light the lights, we got nothing here but the heights. You'll be sweet, you'll be great, I can tell, just you wait. That lucky star I talked about is love. Honey, everything's coming up, roses for me and for
You got a great original, I Know a Man. That song really doesn't get much love. I don't know why. I think it's so pretty. I don't know. I mean, maybe y'all don't, but I think it's really pretty. And I love Dan's arrangement of it. It's like a really lush film noir arrangement of it. I think that song's so moody and beautiful, but it gets no love, so who knows. Some really swinging instrumentals on this album, good Queen Bess and Strutting with Some Barbecue. Oh boy, the band is on fire. And that's where you can really hear them like listen to each other's solos and kind of just like picking up where the other one left off. So good. I'd Rather Be Burned as a Witch. That is one of my favorite songs we do. It's a great Eartha Kitt tune. The full title is I'd Rather Be Burned as a Witch Than Never Be Burned at All, which I think is, you know, a good philosophy.
I'd rather be burned as a witch than never be burned at all.
We do this Sidney Bechet clarinet duet, Waste No Tears, where I sing the second clarinet part without some of my little opera background. Pretty trippy. We like to mix highbrow, deep cut, classy jazz songs, and then we'll do like Britney Spears, because we like to, you know, keep people guessing. We have an awesome live version of our original Out of Your League. I love that song. We've got Love Young Rose. As I said, we're not really known for our love songs, except for we are doing a Valentine's Day show. And of course, we've got When That Man Is Dead and Gone. So I know y'all have found us for the most part because of our 8-year-old performance of When That Man Is Dead and Gone, which is great. I'm so happy that y'all are liking that version. With that said, that was 8 years ago, and I actually think that we do that song a lot better now, so I love this version of When That Man Is Dead and Gone more. Oh, and then we end with our encore is I Love to Sing It, which is kind of a silly song, but like also shows off some opera stuff. You know, I just always feel a little bad ending the night on a song about Hitler. I mean, even though it's like, it is a joyful, hopeful, like, yeah, anti-Hitler song, it's still, you know, like, there's a strong final note. So when people do bring us on for an encore, I do like to do a mood change. So I Love to Sing It is kind of a fun, totally different vibe that shows off my opera background. It's a lot of fun, and it's also damn hard to do at the end of the evening. I don't know why I do that to myself. Anywhere in the set, that song would be hard to do, but it is insanely hard to do it as an encore, because I've been, you know, belting for hours over a full band, a full horn section, and those guys are all loud. It's exhausting to do that. And then at the very end of the show, I'm like, and now I'm gonna hit a high E. I can't remember if it's a high E or a high E flat, but it's up there. It's either an E or an E flat above high C, okay? Folks, we're talking about like getting into Queen of the Night territory, all right? That is kind of masochistic to do that to myself at the end of the show, but what can I say? So yeah, that's our Live at Joe's Pub album, and you can check out the other video I did of our first album, Good Songs for Bad Times. We are in the studio right now working on our next studio album that's going to be all original music. If you're into When That Man Is Dead and Gone, there's a whole bunch more with that vibe. There's some songs on there that are like truly my favorite songs we've ever done, and I'm so excited to share it with you all when it's ready. Thank you again to everybody who has purchased our music. That is a huge way to support the band. If you want to keep in touch, which we would really love, the best way to do that is to sign up for our mailing list. We don't really email very much because we would love to have you come to our shows, because as fun as all of our videos are on YouTube, and you know, we're very grateful that people are digging them, they don't compare to what it's like to actually come out to our live shows. And also, that's our mission as a band, to get people off of screens, to get people into a room together, into community, feel the energy, the sound waves of the band just bouncing off their body. We can feel your energy bouncing off of us, which totally determines how we're playing. I mean, it's just this big, beautiful energy flow, and that's what live music is, and I so believe in the importance and power of it. And let me tell you, go out to a live show, you will feel better afterwards. I know it's hard with all of this crazy stuff that's happening, and like, trust me, I get it, but we can't let the bastards get us down, as my grandfather would say. Anyway, thank y'all for finding us. It's really lovely to meet you. Please keep in touch, and more soon. Mwah!